Chapter 3, Section 7 of The Greek View of Life by Goldsworthy Lowes Dickinson. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Martin Geeson. Chapter 3, Section 7. Illustrations. Ischomachus, Socrates. Such then was the character of the Greek conception of excellence. The account we have given may seem somewhat abstract and ideal, but it gives the general formula of the life which every cultivated Greek would at any rate have wished to live. And in confirmation of this point, we may adduce the testimony of Xenophon, who has left us a description, evidently drawn from life, of what he conceives to be the perfect type of a gentleman. The interest of the account lies in the fact that Xenophon himself was clearly an average Greek, one, that is to say, of good natural parts, of perfectly normal faculties and tastes, undisturbed by any originality of character or mind, and representing therefore, as we may fairly assert, the ordinary views and aims of an upright and competent man of the world. His description of the gentleman, therefore, may be taken as a representative account of the recognised ideal of all that class of Athenian citizens. And this is how the gentleman in question, Ischomachus, describes his course of life. "In the first place," he says, "I worship the gods. Next, I endeavour to the best of my ability, assisted by prayer, to get health and strength of body, reputation in the city, goodwill among my friends, honourable security in battle, and an honourable increase of fortune." At this point, Socrates, who is supposed to be the interlocutor, interrupts. "Do you really covet wealth," he asks, "with all the trouble it involves?" "Certainly I do," is the reply, "for it enables me to honour the gods magnificently, to help my friends if they are in want, and to contribute to the resources of my country." Here definitely and precisely expressed is the ideal of the Athenian gentleman: the beautiful body housing the beautiful soul, the external aids of fortune, friends, and the like, and the realisation of the individual self in public activity. Upon it follows an account of the way in which Ischomachus was accustomed to pass his days. He rises early, he tells us, to catch his friends before they go out, or walks to the city to transact his necessary business. If he is not called into town, he pays a visit to his farm, walking for the sake of exercise, and sending on his horse. On his arrival, he gives directions about the sowing, ploughing, or whatever it may be, and then, mounting his horse, practises his military exercises. Finally he returns home on foot, running part of the way, takes his bath, and sits down to a moderate midday meal. This combination of physical exercise, military training, and business arouses the enthusiasm of Socrates. "How right you are," he cries, "and the consequence is that you are as healthy and strong as we see you, and one of the best riders and the wealthiest men in the country." This little prosaic account of the daily life of an Athenian gentleman is completely in harmony with all we have said about the character of the Greek ideal. But it comprehends only a part, and that the least spiritual, of that rich and many-sided excellence. It may be as well, therefore, to append by way of compliment the description of another personality, exceptional indeed even among the Greeks, yet one which only Greece could have produced, the personality of Socrates. No more striking figure is presented to us in history. None has been more vividly portrayed, and none, in spite of the originality of mind which provoked the hostility of the crowd, is more thoroughly Hellenic in every aspect, physical, intellectual, and moral. That Socrates was ugly in countenance was a defect which a Greek could not fail to note, and his snub nose and big belly are matters of frequent and jocose allusion. But apart from these defects, his physique, it appears, was exceptionally good. He was sedulous in his attendance at the gymnasia, and was noted for his powers of endurance and his courage and skill in war. Plato records it of him that in a hard winter on campaign, when the common soldiers were muffling themselves in sheepskins and felt against the cold, he alone went about in his ordinary cloak and barefoot over the ice and snow. And he further describes his bearing in a retreat from a lost battle, how there you might see him, just as he is in the streets of Athens, stalking like a pelican, and rolling his eyes, calmly contemplating enemies as well as friends, and making very intelligible to anybody, even from a distance, that whoever attacked him would be likely to meet with a stout resistance. To this efficiency of body corresponded, in accordance with the Greek ideal, a perfect balance and harmony of soul. Plato, in a fine figure, compares him to the wooden statues of Silenus, which concealed, behind a grotesque exterior, beautiful golden images of the gods. Of these divine forms, none was fairer in Socrates than that typical Greek virtue, temperance. Without a touch of asceticism, he knew how to be contented with a little. His diet he measured strictly with a view to health. Naturally abstemious, he could drink when he chose more than another man, but no one had ever seen him drunk. His affections were strong and deep, but never led him away to seek his own gratification at the cost of those he loved. Without cutting himself off from any of the pleasures of life, a social man and a frequent guest at feasts, he preserved without an effort the supremacy of character and mind over the flesh he neither starved nor pampered. Here is a description by Plato of his bearing at the close of an all-night carouse, which may stand as a concrete illustration not only of the character of Socrates, but of the meaning of temperance as it was understood by the Greeks. Aristodemus said that Ischomachus, Phaedrus, and others went away. He himself fell asleep, and as the nights were long, took a good rest. He was awakened towards daybreak by a crowing of cocks. box. And when he awoke, the others were either